Hello, hello, hello. Knits for Sanity here, and welcome to a knitting whip and chat. Whip stands for work in progress, and I chat for anywhere from 30 to 60 minutes, approximately. So, whatever it is that you are busy working on, whether it be a fun crafting project or even having to get some not so pleasant chores done, or perhaps you're exercising, I hope you stick around and join me for a little while. So hopefully you can relax while you listen, otherwise work hard and have some fun. All right, well, I have spread out what I have completed of this freesia shawl. Well, modified freesia shawl by Annie Baker. I am still working on this. This is my third knitting whip and chat, and I'm still plugging away at this thing. Part of the problem with this is I'm not looking forward to what I have to do when I'm done with this. So let me tell you a story. I mean, it's not a very exciting story, so I'll try and keep it short. But I have an acquaintance. I'd even say she's a friend. Her twin girls and my middle daughter have known each other for longer than they can remember. They actually were in like a preschool special ed program together. So like they met when they were 2 years old. They truly don't remember a time without each other in their lives. And my daughter continues to be good friends with these girls. And so, I mean, that's now been more than 10 years. And so I've gotten to know the family quite well. Well, their mom, her mother, very suddenly and unexpectedly passed away in December of 2020. And about a year later, so about a year ago, she had approached me and asked if I could knit scarves for her and her sisters and her girls. And I think there's a niece in there too, maybe. Using yarn that Lynn had found at her mom's house. It was a bunch of yarn that her mom had relatively recently purchased, and her mom obviously had some kind of plan to do something with all of this yarn. Lynn is not a knitter, and as is the case, once people know that you are a knitter and actually a pretty accomplished knitter, people suddenly start to come to you and asking for all kinds of things. You know, can you knit this? Are you able to fix this? I actually have a baby blanket sitting around that I need to fix for somebody too. That's another story, but the kind of funny part to me is that I will be repairing a baby blanket that is older than I am, which is actually kind of cool. You know, I like being able to do that kind of stuff for people. So anyway, I met up with the twins' mom and I got all kinds of yarn. And it was 2 different types of yarn. And the request was for scarves using one type and then a blanket using the other type. Well, naturally, there was one yarn that would have worked great for blanket making. Super thick. In fact, I think it was one of these designed to be made into like a baby blanket in a weekend type rolls of yarn. That would have been excellent for trying to knit a blanket. And there were like 3 huge things of this. So 3 baby blanket size items combined can create a pretty decent single person size blanket. But of course, that's not what this lady wanted. She wanted the scarves to be made out of that yarn, which is fine. And again, I mean, this is doing her an honor and paying her a respect. this is something that obviously meant a lot to her. So, okay, that's fine. So, and she was really great about just kind of leaving the scarf design up to me. Of course, with a yarn this thick, you're kind of limited with the type of scarf creation you can do. But I came up with a nice, simple repeating lace type pattern scarf. She was very happy with it. And I gave those to her. I was just barely able to eke out enough for her girls to have, I think they each got cowls instead of scarves. I didn't quite have enough yarn to make all of the scarves that she required. And as it was, these were like exactly 6-foot scarves. I mean, there was no generous portion to these. But with it being such a thick yarn, anything too terribly longer than that, I think would have just been too bulky. Anyway, she seemed pleased. I really, really hope that's true. Well, then that left the other yarn that she wanted me to make into a blanket. Guys, this other yarn, it's not like a fingering weight, or if you're not familiar with knitting, it's not like it's like a super small weight yarn, or even like what I'm knitting with now. This is like a double knit weight, a DK. So it's not even this small. It's approximately a worsted to a bulky weight, so maybe like a heavy worsted or a light bulky weight yarn. But it's very splitty. And of course, it's not the super thick stuff like the other yarn had been. And so knitting a blanket is an enormous undertaking. Just enormous. Well, last winter, I did get a really great start on it. I was plugging away. And come about April or May, it was shortly, let's see. Hold on just a second. I need to tell a child to go to bed. Say goodnight, Guinevere.
Good night.
All right. I love you, sweetheart.
Love you too.
Oh, no. See, now they're all coming. Everybody needs to be in bed.
What?
Oh, I may or may not edit this all out. I don't know. And at some point, I will have to do individual whipping chats with all of my kids. Because you hit 50 subscribers, which, you know what, if you have subscribed and you're one of them that is listening to this, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm at just over 50 subscribers, which means I am just over halfway to being able to change my URL to something that makes sense and not just a bunch of random letters and numbers. So thank you so much. That means a lot to me. But see, my kids now think that I'm just on my way to becoming YouTube famous, which of course has never been my intention. But I'm also really tickled that, they're so excited about it. Anyway, back to my story. So I quit my job at the very end of winter. But truthfully, it was a number of different reasons. A large part of it was actually autistic burnout. More on that later, but I was in a very, very bad place mentally and emotionally, and I had to quit. And it would have been a month or two after that when I think I was together enough that I was looking over what I had accomplished, and I realized that it was no good. It was no good. It was going to have to be ripped. Or actually, in this case, frogged. Which, it's the same thing. And in the knitting world, we say something is frogged when you have to completely pull it out, because frogs go ribbit, ribbit, which kind of sounds like rip it, rip it. And when you pull on your yarn to unravel the whole thing you've done, we call that ripping. So frogging means I have to completely rip out this project and start over from scratch. But then the wrestling shawls came up and I needed to get this project done first anyway. And so the blanket's kind of been on the back burner, but I've started thinking about it again. And then lo and behold, the twins' mom sent me a message just a few days ago asking, what's an update on the blanket? And I was real honest, and I wrote her back and I said, I have to start over completely. I don't like what I have. I'm not happy with it. And I want her to be pleased with the final product. And I did tell her, I did tell her this is a huge undertaking. Crocheting a blanket is much easier than knitting a blanket. It is a lot faster. Some of the downsides are it does take up a lot. Yeah, good night, daughter number 2. Oh, first was daughter number 3. Now it's daughter number 2. Oy vey. Crochet does take up a lot more yarn than knitting. About 1/3 more yarn than knitting, I believe. But it is quite a bit more. So you'd end up with a smaller product. And while I do have quite a bit of yarn to work with, I certainly don't want to make something that would end up being 1/3 smaller than what it would have to be. I also am not a phenomenal crochet person, although for a blanket, I could probably manage to crochet a blanket. It just wouldn't be like really creative or special. Knitting is my forte. That's what I'm really skilled at. And so I want to make something nice for her. But that does mean starting all over. And that does mean working on the same project for hours and hours and hours. I mean, I will probably clock, maybe I should time it now that I have to start over. People always ask, how long does it take you to knit something like that? Maybe I will time this and find out. But I mean, it will certainly be at least 100 hours. Definitely. Maybe if I can. It's just hard for me to actually do that, time how long it takes me to do things like that. There are people who time their diamond painting too and how long it takes. And even when you fill out some reviews and things, they ask you for length of time that it took. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't keep track of, I don't keep track of that kind of stuff. So I just have to do these guesses. So anyway, that is what I have to get back to after I get done with this shawl. And even though I am kind of sick of doing the wrestling shawls, the thought of having to return to a blanket that has been kind of a nemesis for me this year is really unappealing. And again, it's a good cause. It's for a good reason. It's for a nice woman who just really needs, she just wants and needs that reminder of her mom. And that's something that I can do for her. And so I will do that for her. But there you go. This is not the first time that I have undertaken very laborious tasks for very good reasons. And it certainly will not be the last. And that may be part of the reason, too, why diamond painting has become so appealing to me, is because diamond painting is totally for myself. People don't ask me to diamond paint for them. For the most part, it kind of seems like people don't really care for diamond paintings anyway, which I think is really sad. There are a number of them that are rendered so well and are so beautiful that I just feel like there's good reason to want diamond paintings and to be able to hang them with pride, because there are so many that are just really that beautiful. But anyway, diamond painting is strictly for me, and it's more mindless than knitting is. It's very soothing. I mean, knitting is very soothing too, and especially a knit like this. It's very methodical. It is comforting. There's something about the click of the needles that, even with me as the knitter, that sound is just really, really soothing. I need a drink a second. So that's the story of my upcoming knitting project. That is not really upcoming. It's actually like an old one. Let's see. Last week I was talking about how I had ordered using gift cards that I had won from Amazon and one birthday gift card, but most of these were gift cards that I won for Amazon. I had ordered a new easel desk for myself, which is what I am on right now. I really, really like it. What's kind of ironic is I have only used it tilted up once diamond painting. Part of the problem is I keep knocking you around, and I'm really sorry about that. I don't have a good way to like keep my drills from sliding down. People are like, oh, you need to get a sticky tray and no, sticky mat and all this kind of stuff. And I mean, that all costs money. And so I don't have a good way to prevent my drills from sliding down. And I just have this really horrible tray. And this is the better of the two that I've gotten from Diamond Art Club. You know, the others that I've gotten from Diamond Art Club or in other kits are the really, I don't have one just sitting here, but they're even smaller than this with the no stopper in the spout. So this is even the better. So this is all that I have that I'm using. So I was putting packaging tape, folding it over and putting it on the bottom of it so that I could stick this on the table. And I mean, it works, but it's just not very convenient. And then I'd pull it up and the tape would be on the tray with me. So I'd have to fill it up, but I have to be careful where I'd put it down because the tape was on this side and then I'd stick it back down on the table and just kind of annoying. So I think maybe when I have the right products, I might really enjoy having the table tilted, and it will certainly be better for my neck and my shoulders diamond painting. I'm just not there yet. I just don't quite have the right supplies. However, even just having a larger table for me to work on has been wonderful. So nice. It has made everything a lot easier for me to work on. Like right now I'm doing the Drills and Chills painting and Festival of Witches, and that's a 50 by 50 centimeter. And on my normal desk, my computer desk, it's a pain to work on that desk because it's a good like 8 inches narrower. And it's just hard. So I've really enjoyed having the larger, flatter surface. Of course, I wish it could be even larger, but I don't have anywhere near the space for that. My little nook area is pretty well packed in right now. I couldn't get a much bigger table. And I had measured everything out real carefully when I did get this one. I wanted to make sure that it would be okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And so that has been the good news, is I'm loving the new desk or the new table. And then the shelf that the dog had started eating part of and rendering it unable to even put it together. I did email the company, and throughout the day on Thursday, and it may have carried over into Friday, excuse me, it did finally work out that they are supposedly going to be sending me a replacement piece, hopefully within about 2 weeks, and then I'll be able to put together my tall, narrow shelf. So hopefully that will happen. I don't know, we'll see what happens. I have not gotten any kind of an email notification letting me know that they have mailed me a part. And it seems like that's something that they would have sent out, but we'll see. Maybe Tuesday I'll still get something, or Wednesday. I don't know, but hopefully that will come, and then I can put together my other shelf, and then that will be everything kind of redone in my little office nook. So then I can continue with like going through stuff, and I still have a couple of random things tucked in my corner here that are from like long ago homeschool days, like when I was homeschooling my eldest in first, second grade. So a super long time ago. And so I gotta clear some of that stuff out, and I have way too much yarn. And I was thinking, if the day comes and I do have a lot of subscribers, I would love to do like a D-stash with my subscribers. I have some really, really nice yarn. This is really hard for a fiber lover to ever say. And don't ever tell my husband that I am even admitting this. But I really have too much yarn. I said it. I have said it. And I'm waiting for the yarn gods to strike me with lightning. We're all just going to take a pause for a minute. Okay. All right. On the one hand, I feel like you can never have too much yarn, except the fact of the matter is, when you live in a 1,200 square foot house and you have 4 children and 2 cats and a dog, and over half the family is moderate to severe ADHD and they don't know how to pick up after themselves at all, it is indeed possible to just have too much yarn. I have more yarn than what I could ever hope to use for the remainder of my life. And I do know that. And I have some really nice yarn. I have yarn that deserves to go to a home where it will be used and created and made into something beautiful. So, like I said, my long-term hope is that I will eventually have enough subscribers and enough people interested in being able to acquire some nice yarn that I could do a D-stash here. If that interests you and you're listening, then I strongly suggest that you not only subscribe, but maybe pass the word around. Anyway, like I said, I'm trying to promote here. I need at least my 100 subscribers, people. So those are all kind of the long-term plans for, obviously, the YouTube channel, but also my little office nook too. I want to just get it sorted out and a better, more workable space for me. Speaking of my YouTube channel, you may or may not have noticed that I have added one of the you can buy me a coffee links, or, buy me a coffee links. I say you can buy me a black coffee because I drink my coffee black. If I get something from a Starbucks, or around here we have Big B's, I will quite often get a plain latte. But generally, whenever I'm at home, every morning, it is straight black coffee. That is what I drink. That is what I like. So I do say that you can buy me black coffee. That was suggested to me by a couple of different people. Obviously, this is not a career, but I am enjoying doing this channel a lot. I'm having a lot of fun with it. And I'd really love to be able to share more stuff with you. And that does require a little bit of funding. So if you're enjoying this channel, and if you kind of like what I have to share and you like listening to me ramble, please do consider, buying me a cup of coffee. It would be really appreciated. And everything just is going to go right back into this channel. That's more products that I can buy, that I can show you. It's more products that I can try out and let you know, hey, this worked really well, or this really was not such a great purchase. It includes, being able to get better technical equipment and stuff like that. So please consider it, and I thank you in advance. I'll probably mention the buy me a cup of coffee a couple more times in a couple more videos, just as people start watching. I do want to make them aware of it, and I want to make it clear too. I'm not trying to pressure anyone or anything like that. It's something that was suggested to me, and the reasons made sense, and so I went ahead and I signed up, and I just wanted to let you all know that. What else is going on? Well, so let's see. Last time I talked was Wednesday night. And I was talking about this big football game that we had Thursday night, right? Because Friday was no school, and the schools around here then They don't have their Friday night football game then. We have a Thursday night football game. That's not the case with, I think, larger division schools in the state. I noticed that like the Division 1 and 2 schools, they still had games Friday night, but your smaller schools were like, yeah, nah, that's not happening. No school, no game. So our game was Thursday night. Well, it was a game. It was a great game. So this is the team that last year it was really debatable about whether or not we had actually lost the game. And what I did not know before Thursday night was that our school has not beat this other school in 19 years. Not since 2003 has our varsity football team beat this other school's varsity football team. That is a very long-standing record. And so that really helped put into perspective last year's loss even more. It's like, oh, wow. Well, yes, I kind of already ruined it, but we did win. And we won very fairly. There could be no question. It was a 48-40 score at the end. So it was a very clear and decisive win. And it was a good game. You know, we didn't lead it the whole time by any stretch. In fact, during the fourth quarter, with only about 5 minutes left, we were down. We were losing. It was a good game. There were some awesome plays. I used to never be into football. And I've talked about that before. It wasn't until my youngest daughter suddenly took an interest and she wanted to play football that I took the time to learn the game. And so now I kind of got into football. It's not my favorite sport. There are others that I still prefer watching. But I now do appreciate the game and I enjoy going. So it was a fun game. It was a good win. The whole family was there for at least most of it. And then my middle two daughters, the two who have been out here so far tonight, in fact, and we stayed for the whole thing. And then, of course, daughter number 2 had to go and tell her favorite athlete that, you know, it was a great game and all that kind of stuff. And so that was really fun. That was really fun. And it was a nice night. It was not too hot. It was a good night, which is good because then Friday kind of was hard. The kids were all home. My husband still had to work. The weather was really humid and it was kind of wet and I ended up with a migraine and I actually had to go to bed for a good chunk of the afternoon because of my head. I was not feeling well. So Friday was not such an awesome day. I know I did a couple of things. I think I did a couple things, but it was kind of a rough day. Then Saturday, which for me was yesterday, we did go down to my folks. And they've recently moved out of our old family home, place that my parents had been for 33 years. And they now live in a brand new house in a retirement community. They love it. I'm happy for them. I think it is great. It is definitely different. It is obviously a much smaller house. And even though my family is not huge, with 7 kids, it gets to feeling very, very crowded very quickly. And it was very humid. It was not a pleasant day outside. But we did spend a huge chunk of time outdoors anyway, just because the house really is too small to handle that many people. And so it's that kind of stuff that I really miss our old house. You know, their basement and then the main level and the second floor with the bedrooms and just plenty of space and a much larger yard. But for my parents, where they're at, it's a really good thing. And it ended up being a good get together. my sisters were there, and my one sister has 2 sons and a daughter, and so my kids got to have some cousin time, and those are their only cousins. They don't have any others. My sister has been going through a really difficult divorce lately, and I know some of you know what that is like. And I'm sorry. I've seen a lot of friends go through it. I've been watching my sister, and it's hard. It's really hard. And mid-week last week, she did receive word that hopefully, supposedly, her soon-to-be ex has finally agreed to all the terms. And so I really hope that she's very close to having a divorce judgment signed and in place, and things will be done. And that's one of those bittersweet things. I mean, in this case, it is honestly better for her and the kids that the divorce is done and everyone can move on. But at the same time, it's always sad every time a family does break apart. I mean, nobody gets married thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to be getting divorced. Nobody decides to have children thinking, well, and then we're just going to dissolve our marriage and we're going to have to share these children. I mean, nobody enters into a relationship or parenthood thinking that. And so it is sad. It's sad to realize that things don't always work out the way that we not only want them to, but I think the way that we honestly believe that they will, or the way that they should work out. But I'm really hopeful that once the divorce is finalized and my sister is able to start moving on and rebuilding a new normal for her, I think there will be a lot of good and positive changes coming her way, and for the kids too. And I will say, and for her ex as well. I don't want to say a whole lot more about that, but I've really felt for my sister. It is hard. And for all of you that have gone through that as well, I am sorry. And I've seen several friends, and I've had some friends that have come through some really bad relationships. My sister's marriage was not a good one. And just to see the amount of pain involved with that and the trauma that is left is hard. It's heartbreaking for me as an outsider, knowing that there really isn't anything I can do, while wishing so very, very badly that there was something I could do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. I do this every time. I'm always one short. But anyway, it was really good to see her yesterday, and my nephews and my niece and my other sister, who I've mentioned it before, I think, but she is single. Her fiance died in a motorcycle accident 3 weeks before the wedding, a number of years ago now. And that's just something that she has just struggled to be able to move beyond. And if there's one thing that I have really been taught from that experience, is that grief is different for everybody. There's no set time for grieving. There's no concrete way to grieve at all. But she also seems to be making some really awesome changes in her life. She's gone back to school for nursing. And what's kind of funny about that is, growing up, I always knew she'd be an excellent nurse. I always knew she'd be a great nurse. And I know my mom did too. It totally fits with her. So I'm really, really, really happy of her. And I'm proud of her for making this step. But I know it's hard. She's trying to work. She's trying to do school. She lives on her own. So she's tired. Actually, my other sister too is in school. Neither of them did. Well, my middle sister did do college right after high school, but it just didn't work. She did like a semester and then she had to move back home. And My youngest sister did eventually get like an associate's degree, but I was the only one who did high school and then college and, you know, a 4-year degree. And in a lot of ways, I feel like my sisters have probably done it better because now they're older, they know what they want to do, they know what kind of degree they need to get, and I didn't. I had no idea. So let's see, that was Saturday. And then today was really low key. We got a lot of stuff done around the house. We moved, okay. My husband cleaned out like this corner of death in our bathroom. So we have this large tub that we have never used. We actually use it to put our dirty laundry in. And so that's where our dirty laundry goes, and then we sort from out of this tub. Well, the house is built really weird, and there's like this 3-inch gap between the tub and the wall. I don't know why. It's really strange. Well, over the course of time, a number of different things have managed to collect there. Different, clothing items and old packages. And so today my husband went through and he cleaned that out. And then I put one of the shelves that was in my nook area back here, but then I had to take that out because of my desk here. I put that back there now. I mean, obviously it's not just 3 inches, but there's a little bit of space, like right by the door, right by the door to where this tub is. And so I put this shelf in there, and now the shelf holds our extra toilet paper and paper towels. So it's nice to finally have something like that done. Makes me feel a little bit accomplished. I caught up on some YouTube videos. I listened to a true crime podcast while I worked more on this. I did some of my diamond painting today. That's really about it. Again, humid day, head's been touchy, allergies have been bugging me. But not bad. Husband and I watched more of The Sandman tonight. Sandman on Netflix, based off from the Neil Gaiman series of books, which my husband absolutely adored, like late teens, 16, 17. I had started reading them, I guess, in college. They were good. I have a hard time with graphic novels. All my kids love them. I mean, my girls just love them. My husband still loves them. And I think that's great. I don't know. I have a hard time with them. But from what I can remember and what my husband tells me, this Netflix series has done a really good job. And it is really good. It's a really good series. If you're kind of squeamish, I would stay away from it. It is quite graphic in some respects, which is not dissimilar from the books at all. But then there are other ways that yes, it's a very, very heavy topic. They do a good job of kind of helping protect the viewer a little bit. There's a scene where an infant does die. It's not like a violent death. It's presumed to be like a SIDS type death. But it's really sad, and it's something that, you read it in the graphic novel, and even my husband had remarked that, at 16, 17 years old, he got choked up reading it. But the way that they present it in the television show is really well done. You know exactly what happens, but it's not so overwhelming that it makes the show completely unappealing. It's actually done quite beautifully. I think episode 5 is the one with death. And in general, I loved that episode. I thought it was actually beautiful. I would call it a beautiful episode. But again, if you are squeamish, don't watch the show. There are parts that are pretty gory. It is still quite violent. So maybe avoid that. My kids are still up and running around. They need to be in bed. They need to be in bed. Daughter number 2, who popped in last week with her gourds. Well, she has made a plethora of these things. I did order her some safety eyes. She got those yesterday morning, or was it Friday? I don't remember. She got those 1 or 2 days ago. She has several people who want one of her pumpkins. And then, I think it was Friday, she came over and she gave me this other little thing. And I looked at it and I'm like, oh, is this a ghost? She's like, yeah, I made it. Guys, she crocheted a ghost. And it looks like a ghost. I mean, it's a real simple type pattern, but she has designed this herself. It's cute. I knew it was a ghost. It's really adorable. So I may have to share that with you at some point. In fact, I haven't told anybody else yet about her ghost making abilities. You are the first. But she's really into that. My oldest daughter has a couple of new card designs that she is desperate for me to get printed so that we can try selling them somehow. And she's right, I do really need to get on top of it because she does have a Halloween design. So it's just, it's just one more thing, and it gets hard trying to figure out how am I supposed to keep selling all my children's things. So I think I am just gonna have to open an Etsy. I've talked about that before too. It's not my preferred way. I just know that a lot of people do have problems with Etsy. I will never stop supporting creators on Etsy. I buy from Etsy a lot, but that's to support the creators and not so much Etsy. But I think that's what I'll probably end up doing. I think that will just be the easiest and make the most sense. What else, guys? I think I'm about wrapping up here. This week, Tuesday, my son has a dentist appointment, and then he has his very first flag football game. Oh, that's right. That's the other thing I did yesterday. So yesterday actually was a pretty eventful day. We were at my folks, and then last night I went over to my friend and sort of neighbor's house for not very long, hour and a half. And we kind of celebrated 61 days sobriety. I'm really proud of her. Really, really proud of her. But her son is like my son's hero. He's a junior in high school, and my son just adores him. And her son had gotten my son a birthday present, even though my son's birthday was now almost a month ago. And so last night, my son was finally able to go over and get his birthday present from his big buddy. It was 2 Hot Wheel cars, and my son was just absolutely thrilled. It was so sweet. And according to my friend, her son actually went and picked these out all by himself. This is something he did completely on his own. Just another neat kid. I feel like we're really lucky to know so many really neat teens. And that meant a lot to me too, to know that here this teenage kid cares enough about my first grade son to go out and get him a birthday present. And my son was so happy last night when he got him. So that's what else happened this weekend. But Tuesday then, my son has his first flag football game. And I thought of last night because this teen is also on the varsity football team. His cousin is my daughter number 2's local hero, I guess you could say. Otherwise, I don't think there's anything else major happening this week. A couple of flag football games, and I don't know. There might be another doctor appointment in there. My oldest might see her psychiatrist, or is that next week? I don't know. I gotta look into it, guys. Oh, oy vey. Anyway, I'm gonna finish up this row, and then I think I'm gonna be done for tonight. I can't think of any really awesome stories, guys. I just can't. I think in part it's the sinuses. My sinuses are really kind of bugging me, so I'm just not feeling great. However, I was able to buy Sudafed now. You know, a couple of weeks ago I talked about the meth check program being down. Well, I was able to buy Sudafed, so at least I do have Sudafed on my side now. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in again. I really, really appreciate it. Like I said, if you're one of those 50-odd subscribers, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for subscribing. I appreciate it. If you are not one of those subscribers, if you'd please consider subscribing, I'd appreciate that too. And please go ahead and like this video. Obviously, I guess, I mean, if you really didn't like it, don't like this video, because that would be lying. Although if you maybe only kind of enjoyed it, then I'd still like this video because it's not fully lying. You be the judge. You do you. I cannot make any kind of claims on what your behavior or actions should be. Anyway, after all that nonsense, I really, really hope that the day greets you with kindness. I hope you have a good one. And I hope you're able to do something that's spectacular and fun. Until the next time, take care.